Good morning. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. My name is Marilyn Orr, President of the club, and we are thrilled to have you join us today. This meeting broadcast is available on HCTV, as well as our Rotary of Hudson YouTube channel and Facebook. Our club meets weekly using this digital platform, Zoom. When we meet in person, it's at Laurel Lake Retirement Community for breakfast. We hope to get back to that soon. We meet most Wednesday mornings from 7:15 to 8:30 a.m. So come out to join us for a meeting. We would love to have you as a guest. To learn more about Rotary, our club, and the impact we are having on our local community and the world, please visit our website, rotaryhudson.org. So enjoy this meeting today and help us share the message that Rotary opens doors of opportunity.
And we're ready to go.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. I'm Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms. Our invocation this morning is by Phil Herman.
Morning, everyone. As you were already talking about, April is designated as the month of the military child worldwide, with an emphasis on the experience of home and overseas. In 2011, the University of New Hampshire 4-H started the Purple Up for Military Kids, an initiative that is now celebrated nationwide. Today, April 21st, many staff and students are wearing purple as a visible way to show support and thank military youth for their strength and sacrifice as their mother or father serves in the armed forces for our country. The color purple was chosen and symbolizes all branches of the military. It is a combination of Army green, Marine Corps crimson, and Coast Guard, Air Force, and Navy blue. Today, let us pray for the military child. God, we come to you today to ask your blessing for all those who serve in our nation's military. We also ask for your blessing over their families and their children who share in their many sacrifices to serve our nation. Please protect these children and their parents and surround them with the supporting neighbors, friends, teachers, coaches, and communities. Help them to know that we are grateful for their service to our nation and open our hearts to let their service be a model for us for what it means to give back to our nation and to our communities. With grateful hearts we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Phil. And lead us in the pledge and the four-way test. I'm going back in the alphabetical order a bit to catch those that were out of town in order. To lead us this morning is David Basil.
Thank you, Ron. Good morning, fellow Rotarians. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America. And
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the four-way test. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, David. And it's good to have you back. And now our president, Marilyn Orr.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. You know, it seemed like we awoke this morning into an alternate universe. And from my mind's eye, I think that Mother Nature realized that she forgot to give us an April Fool's joke on the 1st of April, and she's just catching up 3 weeks later. So anyway, let's jump off our meeting today. Immediately following this meeting, there will be a board meeting of the Hudson Rotary Foundation. All active members are welcome to attend. This is also the week of the Rotary District Conference. It will be a Zoom event starting tomorrow evening and running through Saturday. So there are sessions tomorrow night, Friday night, and then Saturday starting at 9, ending at about 3. I hope you'll have an opportunity to join with the other Rotarians of District 6630 and check out everything that our district has been involved in during this pandemic. The committee has been working hard to make this an inclusive and meaningful experience. And right now, congratulations are in order for Doug McDowell, who this week received his Paul Harris Award and pin. It would not be happening without the hard work of Evan McCauley, who is working with our foundation group. He's been tracking all of us for eligibility, and also it would not have happened without the generosity of Joe Zapatowski, who provided the matching points. The Paul Harris Award is made in honor of the founder of Rotary and is recognition of the generous support of the work of Rotary International, the foundation. Since it was founded more than 100 years ago, the foundation has spent more than $4 billion on life-changing sustainable projects. Everything from polio vaccination programs to education programs and peace scholarships. It's all funded from the donations that we make to the Rotary International Foundation. So congratulations, Doug.
Thank you very much, Marilyn. And I would like to thank Joe very much and pledge to Joe that I now will move forward and earn the Paul Harris Award on my own.
Awesome. That's a good.
Now that he's given me a real kickstart.
There we go. There we go. Well, wear your pin with pride.
Thank you very much.
And some of those funds come right back home to us as well in the form of matching grants. So it's all a good thing. So at this point, we're going to let Jim Ahern introduce today's speaker. Jim, take it away.
That was quick. Welcome to another issue of April Sports Month. And I thought it'd be really interesting, and I'm glad Mike Chupa jumped on the chance to do it, is there's a lot obviously happening in all schools across the country due to COVID, but I think particularly interesting and challenging maybe how do you try to help kids have meaningful sports experiences during a time when it's I think it probably got pretty complicated. So Mike Chupa is the athletic director at Hudson, so he's the guy that's responsible for making sure this all happens in a way that is going to work for the kids and work for safety. And but he's been an athletic director for 3 years. Prior to that, he spent 10 years at Copley Fairlawn City School District. His first 8 years there, he spent as a middle school teacher, and he was the head varsity baseball coach, and then transitioned to Copley, where he served as assistant principal and athletic director for 2 years. He also spent his first year in education at Berkshire Junior High School, teaching, coaching, and currently he resides in Sagamore Hills with his wife, Amy, and 3 children, Mia, Ava, and Blake. Mike, if there's anything else you'd like to add on a personal note, feel free, but it's all yours.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can everybody see that title slide? Awesome. Okay. Thank you very much for having me. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about Hudson Athletics and an overview of what the fall, winter, and spring seasons have navigated through this year, along with the impact of the pandemic and COVID-19 on our athletic programs. And then just touch a little bit on the academic successes of our students. How do they balance that within the classroom, while also the commitment that they have to each of our teams, and then a little bit on some facility updates. So in terms of just starting with, what it is that our athletic department, our school district, our high school, our middle school, feel athletics should be about. I think far too often we look at sports teams and successes and failures reflected in wins and losses. Ultimately, winning provides a positive culture. And I'm sure most people would say it's more enjoyable to win than to lose, but I think far too often that's used as a measuring stick for the success of our programs. There's going to be years where our teams are successful in the wins and loss column, and there's going to be years where they struggle a bit, and that's okay, and I think ultimately our coaches, our teachers, our community members, our parents, our athletes, if they can look back on their experience through sport and be better people at the end of it, thanks to those life lessons that we have taught, I think we can continue to find success in any of our programs. So, the message here is one that's shared with all of our parents. It starts each of our presentations. It starts each of our fall, winter, and spring meetings with families, and just kind of shares, our vision and our goal. Our goal for interscholastic athletics will always be to develop better young men and women thanks to their experiences in sport. We hope that we're creating a caring, dedicated, and innovative members of society who are equipped with the ability for success within and beyond the walls of Hudson High School and the Hudson City School District. As we reflect upon the seasons, we feel that our athletes are better people because of the experiences that they've had. And then we can always see that our programs have found success. From a large scale lens, the timeline for high school athletics is relatively short, but we do recognize that that is a really profound impact that our coaches can have. And we hope that they can take those relationships with them for a lifetime and reflect back on those. So that's always going to be what drives us to find success for our students. As we kind of look back at the fall season, I've been around athletics for a while. I don't know if I have ever seen a fall season more successful than this fall. We have 10 fall teams. 7 of them were league champions and 2 were league runners up. We had 7 coaches of the year. We had 8 players of the year. We had 9 all Ohio selections. We had 4 district championships, 1 runner up and 1 individual district champion. We had 2 regional championships, 1 runner up, and 4 state qualifying teams with 1 state runner up. I think most school districts, you have 1 league champion or 1 coach of the year or 1 player of the year or a little bit of postseason success. And that's a really, really good thing. To see the success of all our teams is just a testament to each of our teams and coaches. Our boys golf team was Suburban League runner-up. Our volleyball team was Suburban League runner-up. Our boys soccer team were Suburban League champions. Our girls cross country team, league champions. Our boys cross country team was league champions. Our girls golf team was league champions. Our girls tennis team was league champions. Our field hockey team, league champs. Our football team actually went undefeated. So we're gonna just go ahead and declare ourselves league champions, even though the Suburban League did not give out a football league championship this year because of all things COVID. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and just say in 10 years, everybody will forget that we weren't supposed to count it and we're gonna count it anyways. So that would actually give us 8 league champions. Bobby Bolin was our girls golf coach of the year. Steve Knapp, boys soccer coach of the year. Mark McConnell, cross country coach of the year. Tim Morgan, tennis coach of the year. Megan Petraska, girls cross country coach of the year. Jeff Goff was football coach of the year. And Louise Knox, really special honor, not just field hockey coach of the year in the Northeast Ohio Field Hockey League, but the Ohio High School Athletic Association coach of the year for the entire state of Ohio. Louise was recognized. Our girls soccer team were district runner-ups, girls cross country district champs, boys cross country district champs, boys soccer district champs, field hockey district champs. Football were regional runners-up this year. Girls cross country regional champions, boys cross country regional champions. Our boys golf team had a tremendous season, qualified for the state tournament and finished 10th place in Columbus at the state golf invitational. Boys cross country team finished 9th in the state. Girls cross country team finished 6th in the state, and our field hockey team played for a state championship and were the state runners up of 2020. More importantly than any of those things were the academic successes found by our teams. Scholar athletes are recognized by anybody with a 3.5 GPA or higher. And those are percentages of players on those rosters who were recognized as scholar athletes. So that is a really, really remarkable statistic to see. 95% of your girls cross country, girls tennis teams, 93% of girls soccer and field hockey, girls golf, 92%. That's essentially almost everyone on the roster, not just getting the job done on the field or with their respective teams, but being tremendous students in the classroom. Even our football team, for a football team that has a roster of almost 120 athletes, for 64% of them to earn scholar athlete recognition is really, really remarkable. So a testament to our kids, our families, our teachers, and our coaches for their support. We transition into the winter with some similar successes. Our boys and girls swim team were league champions. We had 2 athletes of the year in the winter, a coach of the year, 3 teams that qualified for state tournaments. And again, 75% of our 180 scholar athletes in the winter. Boys swimming, Suburban League, sectional, district, and all championships. 7 all-state swims, and they finished 14th in the state. The girls were Suburban League champions, sectional and district champs, and 11 all-state swims. The 7 all-state swims from the boys team and 11 all-state swims from the girls team gave us 18 all-state swims at the state meet, which is the most in school history. So a pretty remarkable season for the swimming and diving team. The girls have created quite a legacy and tradition in the pool, as they have finished in the top 10 in the state of Ohio for 10 consecutive seasons. So 5th place finish this year as they continue to excel. Gymnastics, much of the same. 4 regular season meet championships. They were sectional runners up, 4th place at the district meet, and they were 4th place at the state gymnastics meet. Northeast Ohio, pretty tough place for gymnastics. The 4 teams that finished in the top 4 at the district meet also went to Columbus and finished in the top 4 at the state meet. The girls' team score of 143.975 was the 2nd highest team score at the state meet in school history. So tremendous season by our gymnasts. Again, Suburban League champions, sectional champs, district champs, 14th in the state, and then similar successes for our girls. Matt Davis, who recently welcomed his first child, was also swim coach of the year. And again, success by our gymnasts. 3.5 GPA scholar athlete recognition, 74, almost 75% of our winter athletes. We have about 240 winter athletes. Again, we're scholar athletes. So to see the successes of our teams in the classroom is something I think that many of us are most proud of. Our boys basketball team was actually recognized as having one of the top 5 GPAs for any high school basketball team in the state of Ohio. So that's given to 5 schools. And Hudson was selected as one of those 5 with the top team GPA in the state of Ohio. And yes, I think it is spring sports season as I look outside and share emails about Mulch Madness fundraisers for our booster club and talk about warm, sunny spring sports. We're supposed to have a track meet today and some baseball games and some softball games. And I don't know that any of those things are going to happen, but hopefully after today, they all continue to move forward with their seasons. Baseball and softball are off and running. As crazy as it sounds, outside of today, our spring weather hasn't been traditionally as terrible as it is in Northeast Ohio in recent memory. So they have certainly moved forward with some successful seasons. Our boys lacrosse team is currently unbeaten. And I believe one of the top teams in the state of Ohio. They host Dublin Jerome on Friday night, who I think is according to some early season coaches polls, the #1 team in the state. I think we might be the #2 team in the state, and we play each other under the lights on Friday. So certainly an exciting time for boys lacrosse. Girls lacrosse also off to a really successful start. On Saturday, they hosted Medina for a game, but more importantly, brought some awareness to pediatric cancer and did some various fundraisers and partnered with some local charities to raise awareness on pediatric cancer and also support one of our students in the district who is battling through some of those challenges. So really proud of the efforts of those young ladies and their coaching staffs. Boys tennis, off and running, track and field, were supposed to have their first home meet in 2 years today, since they didn't have a season last year. So first home meet of the season today. They've been on the road for 3 weeks, but we will see if that has to wait a day or two. All those successes, I think, make navigating through a pandemic even more impressive by our coaches and our teams and our families. Working through a high school sports season is difficult enough and provides a number of challenges when you don't incorporate something that none of us have ever experienced before. So I think the seasons in the spring last year were canceled pretty abruptly. Seniors, spring athletes struggled with closure, struggled with those opportunities that they hoped to work through. And I think as everything went on and we continued to navigate through the pandemic and COVID-19 and research continued and we started to learn more, we started to formulate plans of, what could a high school season look like? How in the world could we navigate through the challenges of sport, right? And to do that, I think it was important for all of our coaches, for all of our athletes, for all of our families to be supportive, be understanding, be flexible. But I think the spring taught us a lot of things about what we didn't want our students to experience going forward. So, things that I struggled with as we, as we head into a pandemic and a disease where it seems to be spread by close contact and the transmission of bodily fluids, that seems to really outline what we do in sports, the nature of sports with physical contact and close to others. How do we play? How do we coach? How do I interact with teammates? Things as simple as a high five or a team huddle or patting a kid on the back, which coaches and athletes have done forever, right? Now all of a sudden we can't do those things, and undoing those behaviors became really challenging for everyone. How do we get our families and our friends and our community members in the stands? How do we get them in the stands safely to watch our student athletes? And then what happens when we transition inside and we try and put a few hundred people in a gym or in a pool or at an ice hockey arena? How do we navigate through all of those things? So as we continued to work through it, we got better at it. We still have a lot of work to do and a long way to go, but we have navigated through a fall season with minimal hurdles and hiccups. We entered the winter, and right around the holidays, December 9th or 10th, we were forced to suspend winter sports until after the holidays and the first of the year. So our winter teams had about a 3-week pause from competition. Towards the end of that 3-week pause, they were allowed to do some individual training and some team trainings in small groups, but with minimal contact and minimal attendance. But we transitioned back into competition after we returned from break in that first week of January. And, as you can see by their successes, so many of our teams didn't miss a beat. Scheduling was different, invitationals and big tournaments for swimming, for cross country, for tennis, for track. Those things didn't happen or haven't happened as much. We've tried to kind of isolate that and just have our teams work through, matches with a singular school to try and mitigate putting them in difficult situations. Certain things that we're used to are our annual holiday wrestling tournament, our annual holiday basketball tournament, suburban league swim meets, suburban league end of season meets. None of those happened. But I think at the same time, we were creative in scheduling and trying to find ways to still give our student athletes that experience that they deserved. All of the things related to COVID-19 that we learned, I don't think were negative. I think some of our coaches really had their eyes opened on some new methods of teaching and coaching. Football, I think, is one of the biggest examples. All summer, I kind of struggled with how in the world can we have a football season with kids tackling and laying on each other and breathing on each other and falling on each other and grabbing each other. How do we do all those things and keep student athletes safe? And I think for so many years, the tradition of football is to have all this physical contact at practice and make sure that student athletes are practicing and behaving in certain ways. And I think that so many of our coaches who are used to doing things a certain way were not only really flexible in their approach, but also found some successes, or maybe had their eyes open and realizing that, we don't have to practice for 2.5 hours with a whole bunch of contact and do some things that maybe are unnecessary or able to navigate through a little bit more effectively. So certainly there were some positives that came out of those strategies. Our football team had one of the most successful seasons that they've had in a long time, and they did it in a completely different way of teaching and coaching at practice. Our football players were rarely in pads and rarely had any contact except on Friday nights, which is a little bit different than the norm. Learned alternative ways to train and stay fit. Our coaches were really creative in terms of creating Zoom workouts for our athletes, or making the weight room kind of a mobile, outside, spread out around campus place, which made things really cool. We also learned how to live stream events, which even when hopefully things get back to normal and attendance restrictions are completely removed, we can still continue to provide opportunities to watch all of our teams perform for people who could be out of town or unable to make it. We transitioned to online ticketing, so everything is done online. We are a completely cashless entity at our events. And I think, most importantly, there was a true appreciation for sports this year. I think our spring athletes reflected on losing those opportunities and having those things taken away. And I think there's that cliche that you hear so often of, play like it's your last game or your last time on the field, and or never take these moments for granted. And that's easy to say because there's always another game, another practice, the next day, the next season, until there's not. And all of a sudden in the spring there wasn't, and then there was some real concern about, will there be a fall, or will there be a winter, or will we have a spring next year? So I think it made our athletes, our coaches, our families, just a breath of fresh air and a renewed appreciation for that opportunity to go out there and compete and be with your teammates, and spend time with one another, and the time in the locker room and the bus rides and the team dinners and all of those things that have been amended or prohibited recently they have a deeper appreciation for an opportunity to do those things. So, you know, in a way, there have been a lot of positives that have come out of each of these experiences. Touched a little bit on the academic successes of our student athletes. The expectation at Hudson High School and throughout the Hudson City School District, those expectations are always going to be high ones for our students in the classroom and for our students athletically. And I'm not sure, you know, any of us would want to be in a place where expectations aren't high. And we expect our students to be students first, and we expect them to be athletes second. And our coaches share those messages as well. School is always the priority. Sports seasons are really, really important. But they're important after you have completed everything you need to do in the classroom. And our coaches do a really good job of, you know, offering opportunities for support and communicating with teachers when our student athletes struggle. We have about 800 athletes at the high school, which make up about 1,100 roster spots. So we have about 300 athletes who are competing in multiple sports. 600 of those 800 athletes this year, and in a typical year, earn scholar athlete recognition. So a testament to their work ethic and just the type of students that they are. They're great at time management. They're great at balancing those things, which I think is a really good life skill that they'll take with them. And we have some really dedicated teachers who are truly amazing, and some supportive coaches that, you know, make sure that they work together efficiently. All things pandemic related seem to have, I think, inspired a lot of our community members to get behind so many of our projects and so many of our facilities here at not just at the high school, but throughout our district. Our girls softball team just welcomed a brand new field a few weeks ago. So they have gotten to play their season on a brand new field right here on campus, which is really, really nice. Our baseball field is now turf in the infield. So they actually have not had a game canceled yet this year, because as long as it's not lightning or there's not 4 inches of snow on the ground, they're most likely going to play. So everything behind the turf baseball field came through some donors and some baseball fans and some really supportive groups, and a really cool opportunity for our baseball team, and a great resource there. Some new weight room improvements. Weight room was not in great shape. A lot of our equipment in the weight room, it had been 25, 30 years since it had been upgraded. We've got some donations from some graduates. We have gotten some donations from the Booster Club. We have gotten some donations from supportive community members. And we have been able to invest about $45,000 to $50,000 of new equipment in the weight room. All of our dumbbells, all of our benches, all of our racks, and a few other of the machines in there are all brand new and state of the art. So really, really cool to see the improvements that are happening. There's still some work to go on that room and space itself, and some flooring and some other issues in there. But from an equipment standpoint, we are certainly headed in the right direction. Small improvement, but we have replaced all of our banners in the gym to recognize our state championship teams, state runner-up teams, league championship teams, and our individual state champions and runner-up. So a little bit of a facelift in our gym. And then we have also built 2 new youth baseball fields, which was a project sponsored by our Hudson Baseball Association. So they have 2 new youth fields adjacent to our brand new softball field on campus. So actually 3 new ball fields that have been added. Kind of old news, but old good news. Our brand new natatorium that We were able to finish up last year, and allowing our swimmers to have access to a state-of-the-art pool. So a lot happening athletically, a lot of challenges that we have run into this year, but more importantly, a ton of resiliency and a tremendous amount of success that our student athletes and our teams and coaches have encountered.
Well, we've had a couple of questions that came in through the chat room. And the first one is from Ed Sogan. Coach Sogan, how is the Booster Club doing? Tell us about the mulch sale. Okay.
Booster Club is struggling a bit. So the pandemic has had a pretty big impact on them. We have navigated through the school year this year without any Booster Club spending. They were unable to have spring fundraisers, were unable to have summer fundraisers, did a mask fundraiser sale in the fall, and then the Mulch Madness that's happening this spring is kind of their welcome back event to fundraising. So hopefully the Booster Club can get back on track. Super thankful for everything that they have done, and they have been super supportive. But I think we all recognize that it has been a tough time for volunteer organizations and for fundraising organizations, and that's definitely been a challenge this year. Hopefully some plans moving forward to get them back on track, and allow our teams to access those resources once again. The Mulch Madness fundraiser delivers mulch directly to your home, and you can go online, order, and it gets delivered right to your house. Unfortunately, we don't have student athletes spreading the mulch for you, which hopefully we can get there soon.
Okay, we know that the weight room benefited from a really nice donation that came in, but can you tell us which teams actually use the room?
A lot of our teams use the room. I think there is, there's probably a misconception that only the football team is in the weight room and they're hogging all the equipment and not letting anybody in. That's certainly not the case here. Our football team, our wrestling team, our swimmers, all of our athletes, I would say probably, with the exception of our golfers and our tennis team, probably don't use the space as frequently as others. But a large number of our teams are accessing lacrosse, basketball, baseball, softball, track and field. Those teams are certainly utilizing that weight room quite a bit.
Do any of the girls use it?
They do. Yeah, they do. And that is, I think our coaches have done a really good job trying to make that, a less intimidating place, because I know that becomes difficult sometimes for our female athletes. We continue to work with Akron Children's Hospital. Part of our contract with Akron Children's is for them to not only provide us with athletic trainers at our events, but also some opportunities for strength and conditioning coaches. Would love to establish a relationship with a female strength coach at some point, which I think could be a huge asset for our male and female teams in the weight room.
You mentioned a contract with Akron Children's for athletic trainers. Do you have athletic trainers at all sporting events, outdoor competitions?
Yes. Yeah, our contract with Akron Children's is actually unlike any other school in children's consortium. They provide us with 2 full-time high school athletic trainers and 1 part-time middle school athletic trainer, along with a strength coach. So all of those services. And all of those employees are employed through Akron Children's. They're not employed through the school district. So they do the hiring and the placement of each of those individuals. But the vast majority of schools in the area and all of the other schools that partner with Children's typically are just provided one trainer for their high school needs. We are fortunate enough to have two at our high school, and also fortunate to have a part-time trainer at the middle school, along with that strength coach. So really good resources to have, and our trainers have been amazing.
Well, everyone has been really interested in the rollout of the vaccine. And could you speak to the need for families to continue to take precautions so that the teams can actually continue to compete as successfully as they have? Sometimes those vaccines give us the feeling of that we're kind of safe now.
Yeah, and I think
Not so much.
on my door, like next to athletic director, I can probably also include mask police, because I feel like that has also been my most common theme challenge at events. Our fans and our spectators have been awesome. They were great in the fall. They were great in the winter. But now as we head towards the spring, we're outside. People continue to get vaccinated, which is fantastic, and hopefully a continued step towards getting somewhat back to normal. But the governor and the OHSA have kind of removed the outdoor attendance restrictions. So throughout the fall and winter, we battled with kind of a 15% capacity at a lot of our venues, if we were permitted to have fans. And as we transition into the spring, that has been removed. So technically anybody, according to the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the state of Ohio, that wants to can now come to a sporting event, but they have to wear masks. And that is a challenge, especially at large venues like Memorial Stadium, where people are spread out. But there also is a common sense aspect there too that we understand. If you have families that are separated or spread out from other groups, and being outdoors certainly creates a little bit more of a barrier. But that has definitely been something that we have navigated throughout the year.
Can you tell us if any of our students are looking at continuing to pursue sports in college? Have we had any signing events?
Yeah, so we actually had our last signing day of the year last Wednesday. So there are 4 signing days / athlete recognition dates where we recognize and honor our athletes. I think we are up to 22 student athletes who participated in our signing days. And then there's probably 22 more out there that don't participate, but still will go on to compete collegiately. So a remarkable amount of student athletes that continue with their athletic careers after they leave Hudson High School, which I think is a testament to the community and the resources and the school district and our coaches and their families and everything that they have committed to and invested in over the years.
Hey, Mike, first of all, this is being recorded, and I think this is a great opportunity. This is going to be on Hudson Cable TV. So this review of Hudson athletics for the last year will, I hope a lot of citizens get a chance to take a look at it because it was great. My question is about the recruiting. I remember years ago when dealing with recruiters from colleges, a lot of times it was lending cans of 35 millimeter film and hoping you get it back from the coaches in college. What is your role in the coaches now dealing with recruiters? Is it more or less than it used to be, or what do you think?
So my direct role now is pretty minimal. If colleges reach out to me, they're usually kind of redirected to our head coaches who can provide a little bit more insight to that specific sport than I can. I am always here to provide recommendations for our student athletes, which I've done on a number of occasions. But one of the cool new features that has kind of been rolled out in combination with the streaming of our athletic events is this year we rolled out a entire athletic department partnership with a company called Huddle. So previously, some of our teams had used Huddle, and it just seemed more efficient and effective to purchase an entire membership, so to speak, with Huddle, which gives all of our teams access to Huddle accounts where they can upload game film directly to Huddle. Huddle kind of reviews it, breaks it down, compiles statistics. Student athletes can have access to that. They can make their own highlight videos. For example, a football player can, navigate through Huddle and kind of filter out all of their plays, their catches, their tackles, their receptions, their touchdowns, their field goal kicks, and kind of make their own highlight reels that they can share with college coaches. So I think that's a huge tool in the recruiting process. It eliminates that, the old football coach that gives 3 tapes to the previous coach. Now most teams are on Huddle, and you just kind of share Huddle access with your opponents. And I think through that system, it's created so many more opportunities for our athletes.
I've got a question. The spring normally brings year-end closure and sports banquets. Is that going to happen this year?
So in the fall and winter, we did not have in-person banquets in a traditional sense where we got together really large groups with indoor seating and, food, that sort of thing. At the same time, I think we've looked at all the positives that have come out of this. It has been unfortunate that our student athletes haven't had the opportunity for fall and winter banquets. At the same time, some of our coaches have gotten really creative with ways to recognize and honor their athletes at the end of the year. A handful of our coaches made some really cool, really creative multimedia presentations that they shared with teams. Some of our other, teams and coaches, I think of, final skates for ice hockey or parents playing a match on the tennis courts, with their sons or with their daughters to provide some closure and awards being passed out that way. So some really different and unique opportunities that our coaches have created. I think the good news, as we head through the spring and we look at things like prom and graduation, it makes sense that if we can have a prom and have a graduation, we could probably also find a way for sports banquets to happen towards the end of the year for our spring teams. If there's a way that those can be outdoors or spread out or at locations that are conducive to social distancing.
We've got vaccines available now to kids 16 years and up. Is that going to help you manage sports and school populations going forward? Do you want to address that, please?
I hope so. I hope it does. I certainly think that as we continue with vaccine rollouts and the opportunities for people to get vaccine and get vaccinated, I certainly think that it has a positive impact on our school district, on the safety of our students, on the safety of our student athletes. So I certainly hope that there are brighter and healthier days ahead for everyone.
Are kids telling you that they're receiving the vaccines? Are they self-reporting?
That's a really good question. I know that there have been some discussion with teachers about students who have chosen to get vaccinated. I don't know if we're at a point where there's a really large influx of athletes that are being vaccinated at this point.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
was just going to say that, and maybe Phil can speak to this. We are going to have offer vaccines to students. Obviously, it's not required in May, and also I think at the fairgrounds, they're accepting kids 16 and up.
Right. So Summit County Public Health had a mass vaccination event last week where they were distributing Pfizer. So we shared that with our families because it was Pfizer, which is the only vaccine for 16 and up right now. They made that available to 16 and up last Sunday. And we are partnering with Akron Children's Hospital to offer vaccines to our 16 and up population at school on May 3rd will be the first dose, and then May 25th will be the second dose for those that want to participate in that. And many families and students are beginning to report that they do have the vaccine. Once you're given the vaccine, you receive a vaccination card. And while we do not collect those and can't necessarily request those, where those do come into play is we still are contact tracing any positive case. And so a student that is fully vaccinated 2 weeks after their second dose isn't required to quarantine anymore. So when we are going through the contact tracing, it becomes very apparent who has been vaccinated and who hasn't been vaccinated, because you can avoid the quarantine by having received the vaccination. So and we're just beginning to see that now with some students who were eligible earlier on in the process for whatever reason, medical condition or something, and other students are partway through the process. They've gotten their first dose, for example, but haven't received their second dose. So it should make an impact, we hope, and moving into next year, we also hope that will have an impact. We know that it's possible that 12 to 15-year-olds will be opened up soon. We're hearing that from Summit County Public Health, and that could be coming when those trials are concluded. So that'd be a big portion of our student population, particularly the older students that are most susceptible.
You spent a lot of time talking about field improvements for the last year. What are you looking forward to next year? Are certain things budgeted that you could talk about?
So, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention, not necessarily a facility upgrade, but a really awesome initiative by Matt Villanova and our boys golf team, who now have access to a TrackMan. And to put it pretty simply, it's kind of like a computer analysis of your golf swing. So as we look outside and recognize the challenges of playing golf in Northeast Ohio for the months of like November through April 21st, it gives our golfers, our boys and girls teams, an opportunity to continue to improve and work on becoming better golfers. So Matt and all of our golf coaches kind of teamed up for an initiative and worked really hard through some fundraising outlets to come up with this opportunity for the golfers. And one thing that's been really cool is to see the impact that it's had on middle school students. So there are kind of sign up times for our work sessions with the TrackMan and with the computer system. So there's always a coach there, and it's indoor, and it's there's computers and cameras and projectors and turf and netting and all sorts of things. Really cool setup. But student athletes sign up in hour or so increments in the evenings or on the weekends. And throughout the winter, it has been jam-packed with our student athletes coming in with their families and being there with a coach to work on their game. And there, I think that the most frequent traffic has come from middle school girls signing up to come in and take advantage of the TrackMan, which has been awesome. A really, really cool opportunity. I think in terms of future projects, right now that is off campus. In terms of future projects, finding them a permanent home on campus that is accessible is certainly something that we hope to accomplish in the near future. I think continued time and investment into our weight room to continue to support that project are probably two of the bigger things on the horizon, and probably some improvements in our main gym, whether it's bleachers or flooring or signage or padding. Those are probably things that we can look at and hope to address over the next few years. Turf replacement at Memorial Stadium at Mousen Field is probably also something that we will face in the next few years as well.
Well, there's always something, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah.
James Field has mentioned that there's likely to be a fundraiser to put a small building in the new ball fields for restrooms and snacks. So that would be great to have something like that available there for the people who attend those games. So that's wonderful. Now,
Yeah, I was also thinking there could be a fundraiser for the golf or the schools by analyzing the golf swings of community members, because I think that's the first thought everybody on this Zoom presentation was thinking when you were talking about analyzing golf swings.
Well, and actually this leads in so closely to what we're going to be hearing about next week. We've got the director of operations for Top Golf coming in, and it's going to be a great meeting. I'm really looking forward to this. I watched that facility go up at the intersection of I-77 and I-480 and was just really curious about what is this. It is one of 75 facilities throughout the United States. It is one of the fastest growing golf experiences, and I think we're going to have a really great experience hearing about this next week. I'd like to also remind you right now that we've got two local fundraising events that are going to be closing up. Jim Lang is leading an event with Christ Episcopal Church. They're sponsoring a fundraiser for the Hope and Healing Battered Women's Shelter of Summit and Medina counties. Their silent auction kicked off last Sunday and will end with a live auction on this upcoming Sunday at 2 p.m. So there's a lot of bargains to be had, and it supports a really great cause. I put the information for how to find out more about it in the recent e-bulletins. And of course, I think Jim is more than willing to tell you where you can find the linkage information to pop in and do a little shopping. Also, this is the last week for the Scout Troop 321 flower basket sale. The kids have been working really hard on this, and the flowers are going to be delivered on Mother's Day. So, I mean, hey, what else do you need here? Come on. Okay, we're going to close out today by looking back in history, as I like to do. In 1611, we have the first known performance of Shakespeare's tragedy, Macbeth. In 1902, Marie and Pierre Curie isolate the radioactive compound radium chloride today. And in 1999, the Columbine High School massacre occurred. 13 people were killed, 24 others were injured before the student gunman committed suicide at Columbine High School in Colorado. Now, we've got a couple of other things coming up on the chat here. I just want to look at those. Oh my goodness, James Field is saying that we may name a facility after a former athletic director.
That was more in reference to former athletic director asking if we're going to have a statue. So
You mean kind of like the one that's at the baseball field downtown?
Yeah, but Mike, I do know that if you need to take a vacation or if you for some reason have a day off, we have someone who is literally ready to jump right in and do substitute for you during that time.
So excellent. Well, what a great meeting. And thank you so much, Mike, for joining us today. It's always great to hear what our kids are up to. I mean, and they are such a talented group of kids, honest, hardworking, loyal. Hudson schools do a great job with our youth. Thank you for your commitment too. So
thank you very much for having me.
With that, we are going to close our meeting today, and I'm going to assume the hosting duties here in just a moment, because our foundation board is going to be having their board meeting coming up in just a minute. So we're going to wait, let everyone who is not interested in the meeting to sign off and get on with the rest of their day.
And I'd also like to thank Phil Herman for hanging around today. It was really interesting to hear everything he had to say about the vaccination proposals. So this is a new day. It's a new day, and hopefully we can get the pandemic behind us soon. And I think Matt is on the call. Matt, do you want to unmute?
Morning.
We can start getting
morning.
this going.